Do you want to experience a stress-free sobriety? Hello, my name is Sami, and in the last 5 years I have been quitting 5 different addictions, and now I help other people to do the same with alcohol. And today I want to help you to design stress-free sobriety. And if you can put these principles work in your own life, you can remove 80% of your stress from your life, because most of the stress that we have in our life is unnecessary stress, and it is self-created. So we have to just become better creators in our life. And in this video I don't going to only talk about fancy tactics how you're going to deal with the stress, but in this video we're going to go for the roots of the stress. So first I want to talk about really interesting study about stress. A year ago I read a book which name is The Upside of Stress by Kelly McGonigal. And in this book Kelly talked about really interesting study. There was two groups of people. In the first group there was people who perceived stress as negative thing. They saw stress as harmful and things like that. And in the other group, there was people who saw stress as positive thing. They saw stress as challenge and opportunity for growth. And the findings of this study was really interesting. The people who perceived stress as positive thing had less anxiety in their life, less depression, and they have longer lives. And people who perceive stress as negative thing has opposite effects. They have more anxiety, more depression, and shorter lives. So just think about it. The way you perceive stress has effects on your physical health and well-being. So in some sense, stress can be beneficial. So you don't want to remove all the stress from your life, but little amount of stress can be beneficial for your sobriety. So it's really important to understand difference between healthy stress and unhealthy stress. And even it's not realistic to think that you can remove all the stress from your life. Because I can say that if you don't have any problems or stress in your life will be really boring. So understand the difference between healthy and unhealthy stress. When you constantly stress about your job, relationship, or how you're going to pay your mortgage, your body going to be in stress response. And when we operate from the stress response, we are more prone to drink alcohol and do bad decisions. But on the other hand, if you have healthy amount of stress, you can be more focused to solve your problems. So if we can have that 20% stress in our sobriety, it can help us to push through to that journey. So the first key of stress-free sobriety is to have right perception about stress. There can be an upside of stress when you just understand that stress can be beneficial for us. And if it feels hard to shift your perception about stress, I recommend to read the book The Upside of Stress by Kelly McGonigal. So the next key is your environment. And I think the environment is your biggest asset in your life. And the effects that you have in your life are results of your environment. So you can think that environment is the cause and the results are the effects of that environment. And this is the maybe biggest factor how you can remove the unnecessary stress from your life. So be really smart with your environment and plan ahead your environment before you start your sobriety journey. So what I mean about environment, I mean about your habits, your relationships, your physical health, your mental health, your mental environment, like how you think, how you feel, what kind of attitudes you have towards yourself, your life, what kind of beliefs you have, and what kind of content you watch daily, and what kind of conversations you have daily. And all of those things creates the outcomes of your life. So if you try to be without alcohol, don't keep alcohol in your home. Don't hang out with the people who drink. Don't go to the places that remind you about drinking. Or don't watch the content that makes you desire to drink. Because when you have those kind of triggers in your life, you will have more stress in your sobriety and you have to use more effort to resist those cravings. So that's what I mean, that be really smart with your environment. This is your biggest asset, and if you just optimize your environment, you can make it through quitting alcohol or whatever you want to achieve. So yes, the second key is the environment. And lastly, I want to point out about the environment that, let's say that you want to quit alcohol and you replace drinking with the habits like exercising, meditating, doing the breath work, journaling, reading, and having some hobbies or or starting side hustles in your life that you are interested about. Then when you have that strong environment, it will create really strong atmosphere in your life. And also when you have really strong physical environment, when you have your house in order and you have something in your apartment that reminds you about your goal of quitting alcohol, then all of those things will create really strong environment that will create really strong atmosphere in your life. And when you have really strong atmosphere, it's way easier to handle withdrawals of alcohol or stresses or of life or whatever challenges life throws at you. So the environment is really key in sobriety and even in life. It's way easier to handle the challenges of life when you have strong environment. So be really smart with it and plan ahead it and really optimize it. And yeah, that's how you're going to remove most of the stress from your sobriety. And the next key is the real cause of the stress. So do you think that the cause of your stress is stressful situations or is it something else? And I would say that the most or the biggest cause of your stress is not the stressful situations or not even external world, but it's our internal world. It's our thinking. Stress is 100% mental problem. Even it has physiological effects, but those physiological effects are just causes of your mental life. So the next question is, can you just stop thinking by knowing that your thinking is the cause of your stress? And the answer is that you can't, because our thinking is mostly habitual and very automatic, so you can just stop it. But what you can do is to start alter your thinking. Do you know that when you saw pictures, it will alter your thinking to think certain thoughts? For example, if you saw pictures about beautiful landscapes, beautiful nature, you start to think about thoughts about these peaceful thoughts about happiness, and it starts to alter your mood. And this is also called priming. Advertisers do this us all the time. So start to prime your thinking by filling your apartment, your phone screens, computer screens with the pictures that helps you to think more stress-free. So you can put pictures that symbolizes freedom, sobriety, health, people who inspires you, your goals and aspirations, the places where you want to go. And when you have everywhere triggers about those pictures, you start to automatically think better thoughts. And we already talked about environment, but environment is also very crucial part that can alter your thinking. When you read inspirational stuff or have inspirational conversation with new people who try to quit alcohol, or when you watch inspirational podcasts, when you exercise, when you do good things, you start to automatically think better. And when you think better, it's way easier to be without alcohol because you don't have that much stress in your life. And when we are stressed, we are, drawn to drink or do some other instant gratifications. So thinking is the third key, and it's really big factor of our stress life. It's about learning to prime your thinking in a new way and designing your environment in a way that it shifts your thinking. And last tip about thinking is that do exercise that start to be really aware what are the factors that makes your thinking very stressful. So next time when you are stressed, write it down what you have been thinking or what happened before you was stressed. Because I can say that there is maybe 3 to 5 main topics that causes 80% of your stress. So if you can just become aware about these factors, then you can solve those factors and you can have, stress-free sobriety. So that's about thinking, and I want to give you a couple bonus tips how you can reduce your stress in sobriety. So one of the ways to reduce your stress is keep social media detox. Because when we watch other people highlights in social media and we watch some guy or woman who live in Dubai in some mansion having 5 Rolls Royces, and then we watch our own life when we are in the first day of quitting alcohol, we start to compare our lives. And then we're going to feel shit. And when we feel shit, we're going to feel negative and we are more drawn to alcohol. So, and it's really good for your mental health. When you keep sometimes social media detox, you will experience more peace, more joy in your life. It has really big effects if you just endlessly scroll down your social media all the days. And at least if you can use social media detox, use social media at least consciously. Only watch things that support and inspires your sobriety. And the second bonus tip is that create healthy ways to cope with the stress. Do you have been ever thinking that maybe the reason why you have the stress in your life is the alcohol itself? Maybe alcohol is not reducing your stress, but it increasing your stress. Or eating junk food or whatever instant gratifications you do. Maybe those things doesn't reduce our stress, but maybe they increase our stress. It reduces stress at the moment, but in the next day we are more anxious, more stressed, and then we are more drawn to, to drink alcohol or eat junk food. And I think this is maybe one of the most important skill to learn after addiction, after quitting alcohol, to learn to cope stress with the healthy ways. If you can just cope with stress with exercising, meditating, or journaling, reading, seeing a friend, having dinner with nice company, watching a great movie. There is hundreds of ways how you can deal with the stress. You just have to find right ways that fits into your lifestyle. And I will guarantee that your life quality will skyrocket when you start to, cope with the stress with healthy ways. So yes, that's the last tip. A little recap about how you can, design stress-free sobriety. So understanding that 80% of our stress are unnecessary stress and it's self-created. And when we remove this 80% of the stress, we can experience a more harmonious sobriety, because stress is a really big factor that drives drinking, and it's a factor that determines our success in sobriety. And first key is changing your perception about stress. When we see stress as positive thing, it can have effects on our physical health and well-being. And the next is designing your environment in a way that you remove the unnecessary triggers that trigger stress, and replacing the environment with the habits that triggers opposite emotions like peace, happiness, joy, things like that. Creating really healthy environment. And the third key is understanding the real cause of your stress. It's our thinking that makes us stressful. When you can alter your thinking with new ways, you can experience a stress-free sobriety. And bonus tips is keep social media detox and learn to cope with the stress with healthy ways. So thank you for watching this video, and bye bye.